The second proposal. Laura and Henry had been married for 25 years. Over the years, their lives had grown full with responsibilities, careers, raising their 2 children, maintaining their home. Now, with their children grown and moved out, the house had become much quieter, but not in a comforting way. The laughter and lively conversations that once filled their days had given way to an unsettling silence. The connection they had once shared felt distant, buried under years of routine and obligation. It wasn't that they didn't love each other anymore. In fact, that love was still there, quietly simmering beneath the surface. But somewhere along the way, they had lost sight of the passion and closeness that had once brought them together. They were more like companions now, polite, considerate, but no longer the young couple who had been inseparable in the early years of their marriage. One evening, after yet another quiet dinner where few words were exchanged, Laura sat alone in the living room, her thoughts heavy. She missed the way they used to be, the spontaneous dates, the playful banter, the long conversations about their hopes and dreams. But now it seemed as if they had run out of things to say. She wondered if Henry felt the same. Henry, meanwhile, was sitting in his study, going through some old photos. He had come across a box of mementos from their early years together. Their wedding day, their first trip abroad, the day they moved into their first apartment. As he flipped through the photographs, a wave of nostalgia washed over him. He remembered how excited they had been to start their life together, how deeply in love they had been. But now things were different. The love was still there, but it was quieter, more settled. And yet, something inside Henry missed the excitement, the feeling of being truly connected to Laura. He realized that, like her, he had been going through the motions, letting the years slip by without really making an effort to keep their relationship alive. That night, as he lay in bed next to Laura, Henry made a decision. He wasn't ready to let their marriage fade into quiet companionship. He wanted to rekindle the love they had shared, to remind Laura and himself of the passion that had brought them together all those years ago. The next morning, Henry set his plan into motion. He remembered how magical their engagement had been, how nervous and excited he had been when he proposed to her all those years ago. It had been one of the happiest moments of their lives, and he wanted to recreate that magic. But this time, he wanted to do something even more special. A second proposal. A way to show Laura that their love was still as strong as ever. Henry spent the next few days planning every detail. He decided to recreate their first date. A simple but memorable evening at a small cafe where they had shared coffee, talked for hours, and realized they were meant to be together. He called the cafe, now under new ownership, and arranged for a private table. He even managed to find the same band that had been playing the night he had proposed to her at the end of their date. He also took out his old wedding suit, had it tailored to fit, and picked up a bouquet of Laura's favorite flowers, lilies and roses, just like the ones he had given her the first time he proposed. But most importantly, Henry wrote a new speech, one that reflected the life they had built together and his desire to continue building their love for many more years to come. On the evening of the second proposal, Henry told Laura that he had a surprise for her. "Put on something nice," he said, a twinkle in his eye. "We're going out." Laura looked at him, surprised. It had been a long time since Henry had planned a date night. Intrigued, she dressed in her best outfit, her curiosity growing. When Henry led her out to the car, she noticed the bouquet of flowers waiting for her on the passenger seat. "What's all this?" she asked, smiling as she picked up the flowers. Henry smiled. "You'll see." As they drove through the city, Laura's heart fluttered with anticipation. It felt like they were young again, going on one of their early dates. When they pulled up to the cafe, Laura gasped. "This is where we had our first date," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Henry smiled warmly. "I thought we could relive it tonight." Inside, the cafe was just as Laura remembered it. Cozy, intimate, with soft music playing in the background. The band was setting up in the corner, and a private table had been set for them, complete with candles and the familiar scent of fresh coffee filling the air. As they sat down, memories of that first date flooded back. They had talked about everything that night, their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. It had been the night they fell in love, and now, as they sat across from each other again, Laura felt those old feelings stirring inside her. After dinner, Henry stood up and held out his hand. "Would you like to dance?" Laura, surprised but delighted, took his hand, and they moved to the small dance floor as the band played a soft, romantic tune. As they swayed to the music, Laura looked up at Henry, her eyes shining. "This is perfect," she whispered. "But why now? Why all of this?" Henry paused, took a deep breath, and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box and opened it, revealing a new ring. "Because I love you, Laura," he said softly. "I love the life we've built together, the memories we've shared, and the future we still have ahead of us. And I don't want us to lose what we have. I want to keep growing with you, keep laughing with you, keep loving you. For as long as we live." Tears welled up in Laura's eyes as Henry got down on one knee. "Laura," he said, his voice full of emotion, "will you marry me again? Will you spend the rest of your life with me, not as we were before, but as we are now, older, wiser, and still in love?" Laura, overwhelmed by the love and effort Henry had put into the evening, smiled through her tears. "Yes, Henry," she said, her voice trembling with joy. "Yes, I will." As they left the cafe hand in hand, Laura couldn't stop smiling. The second proposal had reminded her of everything she loved about Henry. The way he always knew how to make her feel special. The way he could surprise her, even after 25 years of marriage. More importantly, it reminded her that their love, though quieter now, was still strong and worth fighting for. Over the next few weeks, Laura and Henry made a conscious effort to bring more romance back into their lives. They started going on more dates, planning weekend getaways and spending time together, not just as husband and wife, but as friends and partners. They learn to appreciate the small moments, a quiet breakfast together, a shared laugh, a gentle kiss before bed. They realized that love wasn't just about grand gestures or exciting adventures. It was about the everyday commitment to each other, the choice to keep growing, keep connecting, and keep loving. The second proposal wasn't just a one-time event. It was a new beginning, a reminder that their love was still evolving, and that they still had so much to look forward to. Moral: love isn't something that stays the same. It grows, changes, and deepens over time. Sometimes, you need to rekindle that love with small acts of care and reminders of the bond you've built together.
Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and share our channel Magic Mingle with your friends to enjoy more magical stories.